See, it might have been Bri, or excuse me, it might have been Owie playing support Visage, if I recall correctly. So yeah, that's why I'm leaning towards it could be a support possibly too. But anyways,
Yeah, it could be core, it could be your support. Definitely, we'll see. But definitely an interesting hero to be picked up. Visage has fallen out of Ice Frog's grace for quite a long time now.
yeah.
If you remember, he was so popular in mid lane, picked all the time. However, got nerfed a little bit here and there, and since then he pretty much stopped being picked completely. We've seen him a couple of times recently, but
Yeah. Now there
not
was,
really as much as before.
what was it, Gambit last season really made him work. Dahak safe lane with a mid Shadow Fiend especially. Earthshaker is going to come on the 4th spot now for EHOME. So talk about more crowd control that they're bringing to the table. Another answer to Chaos Knight. Man, this Centaur and Chaos Knight are certainly getting counted of sorts in this draft. That's for sure.
They definitely are. But again, it feels like Fighting Pandas have a lineup that isn't necessarily easier to execute, but a lineup that doesn't rely on one specific item to make them work, right? They just need the levels and a couple of standard items like Chaos Knight, let's say a bracer and an armlet, and you're good to go, right? On eHome, for you to initiate, you need to get the Earthshaker's Blink or Aghanims. You need to get a couple of things going for yourself before you're actually able to fight. And right now, Fighting Pandas, they don't really face the same problem, and it might be a little bit easier for them comes mid-game. But it all depends on this last pick and seeing where Visage is, actually, because it just might be a support Visage, too. Considering you have 2 control heroes on your cores, Chaos Knight and Centaur, they both offer stuns. I believe Visage can just as well be a support. It won't be the worst game for him to be that.
Yeah, and that's where it makes this last ban really interesting too for eHome, because again, they're sitting here, I'm sure, wondering the same thing: is that a support? Is that a mid lane Visage? And that certainly depends on what you want to ban. They are going to ban a mid lane hero, thinking that it is a support Visage, or at least just not going to take the risk. So they take out OD,
and they go with Dragonite.
DK.
Yeah, not really a hero that you can counter way too easily on that mid lane, right? When you pick up the DK, now it's on Fighting Pandas to think of one way of dealing with him. There's still some heroes such as Razor, right, that works well versus him. Something like a Monkey King isn't completely out of the option, but probably won't be picked.
What about like a Slark mid?
Oh, I mean, that would be pretty decent. We've seen that, I believe, actually versus the Dragonite, right? And pretty well. It is an option for them. It puts them on an awkward timing, though. I think Fighting Pandas, they should just play to their strength and comfort zone. Don't do something like they did in that last game. Huskar is their comfort zone, but not the way they played it. Like Huskar plus that Prophet. It wasn't really the best lineup for them.
Yeah.
Just focus on yourself if you're Fighting Pandas and very less about the enemy team, I guess.
Sure. No, that's definitely fair. You could feel that last game at the draft. They tried too hard to worry about the Templar Assassin, and it didn't even actually work in the end. So sometimes you just got to play your own game and let that work in itself.
See, they are spending quite a lot of time for this last pick. 10 seconds left. Let's see what they have in store for us for that mid lane versus Dragonite.
Necrophos.
Shadow Fiend. Alright. Some magic damage, some burst versus the Bloodseeker later on as well. I don't know if he's going to be building that sustain build, some utility build, or if he's going to go for that just normal right-click damage, or perhaps even some pick-off-oriented Shadow Fiend with Yules. I've seen it all recently, and in all honesty, I've just seen it fail recently. Every time I see a Shadow Fiend, it's just like you have a good laning stage, perhaps. Let's say you have a good laning stage, but after it, you just kind of fall off. You can't really decide what you want to do as a Shadow Fiend. Do you want to get that heals and pick-offs? Do you want to deal damage? Because you're kind of jack of all trades, but master of none, I guess. You can't really... but then again, you can create a lot of space Envy to come online, and in the end, that's all that matters in this game, I believe, for them. It is that Envy has a really good start, and that this Chaos Knight comes online fast enough. On the back of this Chaos Knight, you can definitely win the game.
Well, that's what Fighting PandaS is hoping for. Gonna try to win with the draft right here. Again, Aoi playing Visage. It's a fun treat that we get, certainly, as well. In that supporting role, the Grave Chill certainly going to be a powerful tool to take advantage of this game, and of course those familiars.
Long time when I was competing, Aoi was the guy to watch for Visage, like Visage and Kotl and techies, obviously. If you want to learn those heroes, you just watch guys such as Aoi. Lil used to be really popular among Visage players too, but yeah. Didn't really reach as much success as Aoi did.
Like I said, quite the treat right here, and that's a fun little mark to go into game number 3. Final game of this series. Winner moves on to play TNC, as stated earlier. Loser move on to play Unknown. Again, ultimately, every team still advancing on out of the group stages. It's just a matter of where you place in the playoffs, so it goes without saying. Want to get to that winner's side for many of different reasons, but here we are in that game 3.
I mean, you want to play versus TNC, if nothing else. They've been looking so hot recently. Want to test your skills versus such a strong team, too.
Yeah, apparently they took care of business, I'll say it that way, against Team Unknown in the first series. Again, Team Unknown is certainly one of the teams that, not the highest expectations going in this event, but...
Yeah, they're unknown. Sorry, I'll show myself out.
Get out of here.
I'm done. Yeah, they're escorting Moon Meander towards that tier 1 on the mid lane to get some retaliate stacks. That's your casual move. Gets 3. Says that's good enough and moves back. By the way, I have to say that Aoi on this Visage can do fairly well in the laning stage, but later on in the game with the birds, unless he's only exclusively using them for control, he might face some problems because Rubik with the Fade Ball just completely negates the damage of the new birds. I mean, relatively new birds.
Sure.
Dragonite as well with a lot of armor, with Breathe Fire can reduce the damage too, right? So there's a bunch of stuff that deals with Visage quite well.
Yeah. Yeah, again, very confident Visage player, but doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be very powerful just because of that. But, man, how about that, by the way? That's 3 for 1 favoring EHOME. That's because of Faith Biani goes up here and steals this rune from Eternal Envy. The Fissure coming into play.
And he should be fine here as well. He just moves, jukes the Visage. Visage that starts with Soul Assumption is good in the laning stage, at least when it comes to these battles, but offers nothing when it comes to control. And considering Chaos Knight started with his passive too, there's little that they can do to a fleeing Earthshaker.
And you got to think EHOME's aware of that, so perhaps even going to play a bit more aggressive, as you see right here.
I think that top lane for EHOME should be fairly easy, as long as you don't completely disrespect Visage and his ability to nuke you down with Soul Assumption. I think they should be farming versus Chaos Knight quite easily, or maybe even pressuring him.
DK is doing a good job last hitting early on. Of course, Shadow Fiend underwhelming with his potential to last hit. Needs those souls to add up. Right now, 5-1 DK versus the 2-0 Shadow Fiend.
Bottom lane snaking. Never mind. If he got one more poison on Crystal Maiden, perhaps he could have went for it.
Oh yeah, 5 stacks. That'll do it, but unable to do so.
Yeah, so far, all 3 lanes without any kills, but definitely volatile. Bottom lane, kills can happen pretty much anywhere right now. Mid lane probably least very unlikely, but the side lanes, just waiting for it to happen. Actually, very interesting. AOY, he goes for the passive on the top lane too. Like no Grave Chill actually goes for the passive early on.
Yeah.
It allows you to trade hits a bit better.
Yeah, that is again not. Certainly, it's just more so, like you said, kind of learning from what he's doing. Oh, that was a misplay, by the way, bottom lane. Moon Meander, he went to Hoof Stomp, and the disruption came out from Snake King, so they were not on the same page right there. did it beforehand. I don't know if a kill necessarily would have happened with it, but either way, clearly not as planned.
Happens. Happens, definitely. And VT faded. He's still taking a lot of damage on this bottom lane. Similar things happening top to Zinq, as he is saved by the fissure. He was fine anyway. Yeah.
And mid lane, Shadow Fiend, he's got some souls now. He's 13-0, 14-2 DK, so Bryle certainly recovering from behind, as you'd expect once again. And certainly Shadow Fiend, one of these mid-heroes that can make his way to the jungle and start to rapidly farm as the early game progresses.
Yeah, at the same time, you're playing versus a Dragon Knight, and he that jungle pops that dragon form and instantly starts attacking your tower. One really good thing that EHOME has done so far is this top lane. Shaker has quite a lot of CS, actually more than the CK, and at the same time, they managed to block the easy camp. CK, and there we go. That's the first blood. What I was saying is they blocked this small camp, which prevented Aoi from pulling it. And for a really long time, 3 minutes actually. And when you're playing Visage as a support, you really still need levels. And he wasn't getting any levels because he wasn't able to pull. And in the end, he leaves at the wrong time, which gets Envy to his first death in this game.
Yeah, that was, I'm glad you bring that up, because that was my concern as well that I wanted to address. And he does have a talent, level 15 talent though. It's 40% experience gain, which is nice, but yeah, that's level 15. Getting there in the first place as a 5 support Visage, it seems pretty difficult. So yeah, that's going to continue to be a concern as this game moves on. But speaking of this, Zinq's trying to just stay alive. You see that burst coming out for the Soul Assumption. Does have Grave Chill now. Another auto attack could do him in, but Zinq, he's juking through the trees. Not enough. Eternal Envy finally runs him down and gets some revenge at least.
They're definitely very strong if they're together, right? As long as they stay together in this lane, they can take down the Rubik and the Shaker. They're very difficult to play against, as you have this Soul Assumption that's just way too powerful. Bottom lane Moon is attacking Crystal Maiden,
yeah, he's dead. And not much more Bloodseeker can do about that. Another blow right coming up. Does have 13 wand charges, so BT faded is fine. Almost trying to bait them out. Not going to happen.
And the salve as well. Salve's up. Super fine.
A rotation? No. Shadow Fiend. Going to get the rune. And actually is going to keep going.
If they disrupt him, he's pretty much dead. Yeah.
Line up the raises. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3. Good movement, and yeah, as you called it, if they get the disruption, which they did, easy kill onto the Bloodseeker.
Also some stacks here, perhaps for Bryle. He's going to take those 2 away, so pretty good rotation from him. He gets a lot done, gets a lot of net worth out of it. And meanwhile, while he's doing that, it allows Aoi to go to mid lane to get some experience. And this is pretty big. Especially considering Dragonhide is going to use his form and might get a kill here though.
Visage, again, it is that support Visage. Is certainly going to get killed off thanks to the support of Rubik as well. As Bryle lands the raises, in comes the disruption. He got all 3, but the poisons are not going to be enough, and DK is now chasing Snake King.
Yeah, that's a free kill for them, a bonus kill actually on Snake King. He had no mana to work with, so even with the disruption, he wasn't able to do anything to the Dragonite. The thing is, like, when you're playing with or against the Dragonite, once he gets that level 6, he's going to pop his form and he's going to start pressuring your tower. So you need to rotate with your supports. And they did that really well on the side of EHOME. Sadly, not on the side of fighting PandaS. And there you go, he dies.
Yeah, Bryle just kind of walking up, and he definitely saw them there. It's just a matter of he underestimated the potential. Got lifted in, and shortly followed up Dragon Form damage from DK. More than maybe expected, I suppose.
I guess what he thought is that the supports already shown themselves on the mid lane, and because of that, they will go away, right? Yeah. But they didn't go away. They stuck around. He got stunned, lifted, and he just died. Another stun?
Yeah, he's just going to TP out. Good call right there.
Such a good play, by the way. I love that. Like, instead of trying to run from the Grave Chill, he stuns and TPs out. Because if he tried to run, first he's slow, he slowed down, so because of that, he takes some extra right clicks, but also he'd get in range for the necessary 2 raises to take him down. Very well played by him. Bloodseeker is rotating top.
As I say, TP scroll really good this game, even for the other side too. Of course, as you mentioned, Bloodseeker, he's one that's his bane earlier on in the game, especially. So make sure you're carrying those TPs for many of reasons. As with the TP, he is gonna pressure the tier 1 tower up here. His teammates. Bottom tier 1 also gonna take the pressure from FP.
Yeah, pretty much similar movements, right? Very similar. Bloodseeker ported top, at the same time Chaos Knight ported bottom, so both tier 1s on the safe lane will fall. And yeah, Dragon Knight is the one that can pressure mid lane a little bit better, so objectively EHOME like is having a better time because they're also pressuring the tier 1 on the mid lane.
I got a question for you. So Bloodseeker, I was gonna say, so they have both Bloodseeker and DK. They could get Radiance on each of those heroes if they really wanted to. Now, Bloodseeker's not going for it, so... But does DK get a Radiance? Because you are up against the Chaos Knight, specifically.
Yeah, it wouldn't be bad. It wouldn't be too bad, considering you're versus the DK. I think it's pretty much player preference. If he wants to go for it, he could.
Oh, man. Yeah, Faith Beyond turning this big time. That's a poor Shadow Demon right there. It's when you think you have a chance to kill yourself, and it gets turned bottom lane. The run is on. Eternal Envy frozen in place. These are the 2 supports. Eternal Envy is going to say, all right, let's fight then. Here comes a Blood Right, gets 1 kill. Eternal Envy has to man up. Another heal, 1 more second with the cooldown. Pops a stick. Blood Right Silence finally wearing off. He's on the run, though. He's trying to get away, but look at the chase. Bryle's going to come in, and now instead of a couple raises at least. So Bloodseeker will survive, but with Brawl being there, it's going to allow Eternal Envy to keep running and ultimately TP away.
Really good play by Brawl there, just coming in as a bodyguard and saves Envy. Also, Envy realizing that he cannot just run away from 2 supports. He played that well. He pops his ulti, kills Crystal Maiden. I actually expected him to die there, but EHOME overestimated their damage output against the CK that has like quite a lot of HP early on. Yeah, they don't manage to take him down. Moon, however, on the top lane is being gone on, but again, like just very tanky.
Unlike the first game, has a nice block there. This Faith Beyond, again, he didn't have the greatest game 1 in terms of farm progress on the Earthshaker, but he did land a lot of solid fissures, and you see another example right there. He's on point with these fissures for sure. Earthshaker, and he's having a great game this time around when it comes to his farm. It feels like he is 2nd overall in net worth behind his teammate. He's going that Ags.
Yeah, he's had an amazing lane overall, and you can see that the 2 cores, the 2 position 1s on both sides have suffered really like really hard in the laning stage. On one side the Bloodseeker, on the other the Chaos Knight. They both didn't really have the best laning stage overall. But the question is, which one of these 2 heroes does more with less? And I believe it's on Bloodseeker to start rotating and being like active a little bit earlier than it is on Chaos Knight. But at the same time, 897 is doing a really good job mid.
Stampede is going to use it to turn around. In fact, they're going for the turn play. DK in that Dragon form. Now comes a Freezing Field to pull back in with the Reality Rift, and down goes the Dragon Knight. Crystal Maiden, however, going to be stopped by the CK stun, but the Fade Bolt snipes out Shadowfiend in the back lines. The Blood Right put down. Aoi trying to hold the best that he can, which is not too well. With that Rupture on him, he had to stand and fight. The tower goes down, and the kill for VT faded as well. So overall, it feels like EHOME got a good amount out of that themselves, despite losing the DK.
Yeah, they lost the DK with the Dragon form, but he had Arcane Rune on. So I think this is pretty good for EHOME. They take down the tier 1, they trade 1 for 2. I have to say Crystal Maiden had an amazing ultimate there too, from the corner in between the fissure and the cliff, so no one could get to her, no one could disable her. Pretty good ultimate then. Xingqiu just gets in there on time to use the Fade Ball to take down the Shadow Fiend, Rupture on the Visage. Yeah, pretty solid, pretty well executed by EHOME overall. But one of the reasons is the fact that Bloodseeker can get active this early on, and Chaos Knight can't really. He needs that armlet, which he didn't have, so they had an extra hero to work with pretty much.
I just, yeah, Faith Beyond. Obviously, this guy's bringing the experience to this EHOME squad, and he is very close to an Ags now. And this is, compared to that first game, once again, it's going to be about a 13-minute Ags on this Earthshaker, pretty damn fast. And that movement is certainly going to be coming into play. You got Bloodseeker going. Okay, so he's going the Blade Mail, actually. He was just going to go the Maelstrom first, but changing his mind there with the
very interesting item build, yeah. Peculiar to go for the Blade Mail because it doesn't allow you to farm nearly as fast as Maelstrom does. But it does help out versus some damage that comes from the side of fighting pandas. Specifically versus SF, right? It's what messes him up. Especially because SF is going for this Yule's build. So Bloodseeker will pretty much never be the target to use and kill with your ulti, as you can just die from the Blade Mill.
See right there, Bloodseeker applying that Blood Rage over and over again to the DK as they're pushing the tower. And they're going top lane because, well, that's just the familiars over here, actually. Aoi himself he's flying away. He's well away from that area. So they are not going to catch him. And this is certainly something that Visage can do, whether it's support or a core. He can split push pretty well, especially with those familiars. And he's already doing that.
Yeah, if you want to watch a Visage player do this and if you want to learn, that's definitely Aoi. Like you can pretty much just creep skip with familiars, pull them to the creep waves, but he might lose them as well if he's not careful.
There's that breath. Yeah, they're dead.
Yeah, he lost one, resummoned before the other one was killed.
I'm wondering.
Really great.
I was gonna say, I'm wondering. I guess stretching for an Axis game, it feels like it'd be pretty greedy. As a support.
Yeah, definitely. I think some utility build for him would be perfect. Ags is always nice. Having that Ags, extra bird, an extra control, an extra stun would be great, but also Vlad's medallion, something like that. Some smaller items would come just in handy, or just a bunch of wards too, because you have a greedy position 4 already on the Shadow Demon, and you can't really afford to go for a big item such as Axe.
Umiander setting up in the mid lane.
Fabian.
Oh no. That's Aoi getting caught. Actually, Freezing Field stopped immediately thanks to the familiar stump. However, Aoi is picked off. Here's an Echo Slam. There's more supporting cast coming in. Now Faith Beyond trying to jump out. Q, he's being beat down by the CK. There's a Requiem in the backlines, by the way. Faith Beyond does explode to that, and they do catch up to Q. DK, blinks out, or finishes off Eternal Envy, that is, and now trying to get away from the Centaur. So they got something out of it, especially with the CK kill, but the overall net worth favoring fighting pandas right there.
Yeah, they messed up a little bit. EHOME, they didn't kill Visage on time, so he was able to break their combo up with one bird. Oh, 897 actually doesn't go for the bounty, and now Snaking should take both of them as he was afraid of the bird stun. If he got stunned by the birds, he might just as well be dead because there is Brawl coming in.
Yeah, speaking of Brawl's build, he went that Yule's early on, Spell Lamp talent as well, so have our answer there for sure of what style of Shadow Fiend he's going for.
Yeah, it's definitely a good item build to go for. One problem is the BKB, right? Like once the BKBs come up on EHOME, you can see that Dragonite is building towards it, same with the Bloodseeker. So once they get those BKBs, they don't really care too much about an SF that's going for the magic build. Aoi, you might be a bit too deep, sir.
It's one thing for the familiars to be over here, but yeah, yourself, you gotta be a little careful. But he's good. He's gonna summon once again, prevent them from killing them, and again, he's distracting. So really, he is accomplishing quite a bit, even by doing what he just did right there.
Definitely, because he also scouted them all out and forced a couple of TPs too. That instantly gives Brawl an opportunity to outpush top lane without a worry, right? Like he knows he won't be ganked because of that. However, he mustn't stay this for way too much longer as they are rotating in.
Where do they rupture? That Shadow Demon mentioned earlier. What's Bloodseeker's worst enemy? A teleport scroll. And there you go. Shadow Demon's fine. So Bloodseeker has the Blade Mill as mentioned. You made a good point though. Again, it's not really a rapid farming tool. In fact, he is just going to go into the BKB next. So this Bloodseeker is going to really fall behind unless hero kills start kicking in. So it's a bit of a somewhat of a risky play, I guess you could say, but it's the play that EHOME's choosing to go for.
It definitely is scary to go for such an item build, considering your other core is Dragonite, and he's also building. Dragonite isn't really building to scale too, right? If you look at his item build, it's 2 bracers, blink into BKB. Both of these heroes, they don't have any any tools to amp up their farm. They don't have any heroes too, no Magnuses, nothing like that to help them out with that. So pretty much once they get these BKBs, if they fail a couple of team fights, this game will be really tough for them. But BKBs will definitely allow them to not fail these team fights and execute them much easier. So it's on EHOME to just use these BKBs properly once they got them. Crystal Maiden on the bottom lane. That's sad.
Yeah, just really wanted to clear the rest of that wave and then get out. That's, sometimes you got to use that freezing field front, which, that's not the worst decision ever. Usually you just see it used a more bigger wave, if anything, but...
He got one bird without using the ulti. For the other one, he's like, I'm gonna use my ulti, hope for the creep wave and the bird.
Yeah.
Bird escapes. But it's good. It's good. Like sometimes using that freezing field to just farm. Like you just said, it's not something extraordinary.
It looks like, you look at the net worth chart, it feels like Eternal Envy is a bit behind. He's 6th in net worth, but you look at the numbers, he's really not that far behind. He's 6th in net worth, but he's only 1,500 net worth behind Shadow Fiend, who's the top in the game. So really all the cores in this game are actually farming pretty well right now.
Yeah, if you look at it, 1k ahead on EHOME, right? So that's pretty much it. One of the reasons is there are no cores that really have these flash farming abilities on both sides, besides SF, I guess, with the raises. But that's pretty much it. Chaos Knight can't really farm fast. Oh, top lane?
Yeah, top lane Prowl, he got jumped in. That blink on Dragon Knight, they want the kill, they're not going to get it. Centaur Stampede helping, or maybe still Faith Beyond says, I got it, boys, don't worry. He is going to die for this, but he makes it happen. They did lose Rubik as well, or maybe he won't. He kills Shadow Demon, never mind. I thought there was more here. They were chasing. They got the Rubik kill, but then you saw what happened to the backlines. Faith Beyond still hopping around. And now Owie's trying to get out of here, flying through the trees, and Faith Beyond will leap right back in and allow
they definitely look, after that last fight, they look like they're in control. They won those fights without BKBs, and now the BKBs are gonna be there too on Bloodseeker and Dragonite, so the fights should be much easier. But it's all about having proper vision and initiating first, right? Especially if you're EHOME. And they had that cliff vision on the top lane. Fighting PandaS didn't have a smoke or anything like that to fight into it, and they lost the fight. It's much simpler to play when you have full vision on the enemy team. You just know where to pounce. And they might pounce on Bryle.
Yeah, they are going to jump. Dragonite, that is, will lead the way. Shadow Demon, I don't think you're getting out of this one. And the Rod of Atos coming into play. And yeah, just the lockdown is real. That's, of course, the vulnerability of Shadow Demon, especially without that BKB being finished. He gets jumped on, locked down initially. It's a hard chance for him to get out of there successfully. Yep. So they're going to push Tier 2 tower now with this.
Yep, Bryle loves that Fiend, but he doesn't have a BKB yet on him. And he doesn't have a buyback too, and there's a double damage on a Dragonite, and they're looking to knock on your high ground's doors.
Yeah, talk about finding your groove. EHOME certainly has done that right now. Suddenly up 7,000. It feels like just a couple of minutes ago we were talking about this is maybe a 1,000 net worth lead and that's it. But it really opened it up now. Ever since that top fight, they killed a Tier 3 tower. And what's that?
Moon did a really good thing. Yeah, Moon did a really good thing. They lost the tier 3, but they won't lose the Raxes because of him. He might fall here, most likely if they get an additional hero. Maybe not even necessary, yeah. The two of them should take him down. At the same
All right. Okay. We are back now. Hopefully for good. Nothing else to say, guys. But I'm sorry. Fortunately, my internet decided to take a crap right there. As you see, we are at the standby screen, and as you notice, perhaps EHOME did end up winning the game. Thus, they take the series 2-1. Lizard, if you wanted to maybe recap the very end there, because a couple minutes later, it sounded like that EHOME just eventually got them to GG.
Yeah, EHOME pretty much closed this game out. It looked like it's anybody's game, right? It was only 1k ahead for EHOME, but then in a matter of 3 minutes, they just got their BKBs and they ended. They fought Fighting Pandas on their shrine. They won the fight on the shrine. There was a couple of buybacks coming from Fighting Pandas, but they just couldn't deal with EHOME at all. And it's not like they didn't have their BKBs. They did, but their lineup just didn't do anything. This AOY Visage, completely irrelevant in the fight. Envy with the Chaos Knight wasn't really able to do a whole lot, and Braille with the SF, like the SF is great, but once the BKBs are up and you're going for that Yule build, you're just not doing anything in fights. And yep, EHOME took the game. Fighting Pandas, they said they disbanded just before the game. And no, I'm kidding, guys. They didn't disband. They just GG'd out, and yeah, they wanted to end the madness as soon as possible so that they can prepare for the next series.
All right, so with that in mind, we got our next series set up now. I believe they're going to be creating the lobby here shortly, and looking to get into it. I'll keep you guys updated at the very least. Again, make sure things on my end are also good to go. They seem smooth now. Again, just unfortunate hiccup there at the very wrong time, but we do have our next match, which we're going to be on the winner's side. So we're going to cast EHOME versus TNC Predator. Mentioned TNC looking pretty good overall coming into this event. EHOME, obviously a good victory for them here. We'll see how they match up against TNC now. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go to a break, get that lobby set up, and should be back with game number 1 of our next series, EHOME versus TNC. Stay tuned.